I'd like to talk about sexual energy. Sexual energy is also part of the loving force. I think it's not being very well used and maintained in this world, but it does give. There's a certain power and knowledge that goes through the sexual energies that are traded in between a man and a woman. Um, you'll see that in ancient Tibetan Buddhist writings that not only do they have 7 levels after death, but they have um, there's a certain energy that uh, that's in the sexual copulation. But the thing is that sex can only be maybe 1/10 of what the loving force is made up of. The thing is, the loving force always creates. It doesn't destroy. It'll always create. So the loving force, its main job and purpose is to create. Now, whether the loving force creates entire new worlds, whether the loving force creates entire new dimensions, whether the loving force creates entire alien civilizations, whether the loving force creates plant life, animal life, or human life, it is what creates. That's why you could almost say that the loving force is also called the co-creator. And so when people make love, they create babies, and women get pregnant, and you have the male, and they create babies. And so you can see that the loving force is working in this particularly sexual energy. You'll see that in a lot of the ancient Egyptian religions, the Christian religion or the Catholic religion or the Buddhist religion or the Muslim, whatever religion that you're in or were taught, or whatever academic you were taught in education, or whatever you were taught, whatever government you belong to, you'll see a lot of phallic worship, or womb worship, or sun worship, which is basically like the in Washington D.C. they have the I think it's the I know they had this in ancient Egypt as well, and in Rome and Paris, etc., etc. And so there is this interdimensionality during orgasm. There's this interdimensionality, and in this interdimensionality, it is possible to have some sort of spiritual connection between two people, but it can also have a spiritual effect with past partners, or spiritual knowledge, etc., etc. And energies can be intermingled between friends as well. I mean, people who are close, they give off a certain type of energy, and they can intermingle. And if there's a negative energy, you must get away from those who have that energy, whether it be your friends or co-workers or neighbors, just people who approach you. They may be a real wrench into your own energies. They may be interfering with your energies, or they can be helping your energies, but you'll know through your intuition. And so I'm just saying that certainly the sexual energy carries much information, much interdimensionality, There can be a problem with this if, like most of the ignorant and arrogant human beings on this planet, use sex as some sort of entertainment or self-gratification, or I think a lot of the human beings on this planet have a very ignorant and arrogant way of using sex, and this sexual energy should be the most highly revered. It should be something that should be very highly respected and be highly, very, very well guarded, and to be something not to be messed with. And I think there's too many people that are messing with this, and it opens the doorway for like I said, interdimensionality, and for demonic possession. I know this is going into a field that is quite frightening, but I've actually seen this in the eyes of many people, and I've also seen darkness in many, many people, to the point where they've completely gone into the darkness, where they have no light in their eyes. And I would say at least a quarter of the population of this world is in that category. It's interesting to look into this even more so and more so. There are dimensions of darkness, of course. There are dimensions of light. But the truth is unconditional love. And the lies that have been perpetrated on the people of this planet, because of their ignorance, has only to perpetuate this darkness. And we don't have to live in a dark, ignorant, fearful dimension. We can turn this dimension into a light dimension, a dimension where unconditional love, the power of unconditional love, and the knowledge of unconditional love can be celebrated. Not only celebrated, but used properly, and to help each other cross that bridge over to a dimension of light.